Okay, so freedom community worldwide. Tansen here, and we have Brilliance in Commerce House of Freedom International Natural Law Trust Zoom meeting with November 16th, 2022 being our last meeting of 2022. And thank you again for joining us. We'll have Randall on in a few minutes, and we're going to proceed with a review, a repeat, and a expansion and elaboration on the last couple of meetings, because so many people are needing to get clarity on the roles to play. The beneficiary, the trustee, the grantor. One of the most important topics. And then, of course, any other questions in the question and answer session that you may wish to ask, we'll entertain. As you may know, Brilliance in Commerce is a project of La Verite. We have the House of Freedom International Natural Law Trust and quite a few other products and services. We're signatories to the Worldwide Charter for Fair International Commerce, so take a look at that on the website if you haven't already. Welcome, Randall. And you are co-host. So today being November 16th, our next one is going to be January 18th. So we'll take a December vacation and see you again January 18th. In the meantime, today we will entertain everything that we can possibly fit in to the program that you would like to address. And Randall has a lot to share with us. For those who wish to look at the past trust meetings that we've had on Zoom, go to brilliance-videos.com. Brilliance-videos.com. For those who got this information without being a subscriber to the BIC newsletter, we invite you to subscribe if you got it as a forward from someone. And that's available at brillianceincommerce.com. For those who need a phone number, 360-200-7521. My name is Tansen Fairmont. I'm the founder and a consultant in bank instruments programs, as well as a speaker on past radio shows and a variety of conferences, as well as a couple of books. Randall Hillner's our man in Hawaii, the writer of the trust, who most of you know, and is joining us today to speak, head of the trust department at BIC, founder of White Light Unlimited and House of Freedom Trusts, One People's Public Trust, and the creator of the International Natural Law Trust. Dominique Hackett is a protege par excellence from Santa Barbara, who is assisting Randall and consulting to many of you and teaching the monthly trust study group webinars. And so you may know her. And Randall, we had a suggestion from Marianne that I really loved, and that was to honor tomorrow, November 17th, as being Dominique's birthday. So let's, if Dominique isn't on yet, we can have this in the program to give her the replay. So happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Dominique. Happy birthday to you. And all of us at BIC deeply appreciate you. So today we have the Cosmic Conundrum of the Three Hats, part 3. And we got some similar pictures as last time, but we'll have different commentary. So stay tuned. Stay tuned for a illuminating time with Randall. And Randall, it's your turn.
Well, aloha, everyone. This is Randall
Aloha.
from Kauai, and welcome again to our trust event every other month.
Can
And
you turn on your video? There you
how's
are.
that?
Yeah, now just move your camera down.
Oh,
There we
hey,
are. All
there's
right.
that dude. Okay, here we go. So, welcome again, everyone, and thanks for showing up. Hopefully, we'll entertain you with good information. Repeating a lot of things that we've had because I keep getting the your information sheets with stuff that's I've talked about being not appropriate. So I'm going to go over all of it again so that when you fill out, if you haven't already, or if you're a new trust client or going to be a new trust client, that you understand how we go about this so that I don't have to write back to you and say, yes, you can do this, but you can't do that. So let's change this. And I want everybody to get today, if you haven't already, if you're soon to be trust client, how to make the appropriate client form work for you and for me. So here we go. I guess we got some slides coming up, and Tanzan can help me with that, then we'll go. All right, so here's the important thing. You can have, for a trustee, you can have, if you're not a beneficiary, you yourself can be a trustee. However, that's kind of not what the premise is. What we want you to do is to be, most of the time, the grantor, or if you do become the trustee, that you have a second co-trustee or successor trustee if you're not a beneficiary, so that you can do the proper separation of the asset and the trust. This is why we have a trust. If you have money in your own pocket, you have assets in your own pocket, then they're all liable to suit, to be taken away from you if it's in your name. So what we want to do is separate your asset from yourself, and we do that by creating a trust. Now, we do have the ability to have a nominee grantor, and we have a gracious Dominique who does that. So if you don't have somebody close to you that you feel it's important to have somebody be a nominee grantor, then Dominique is more than willing to do that. And you can indicate that in your client form, and it's forwarded to Dominique, and she'll get it and respond accordingly. Okay, so the client can be the grantor and choose either two friends, one friend, and one family member, or can be the sole trustee. I think the slide is wrong, but can be the sole trustee and have multiple beneficiaries. As long as you're not the beneficiary, it's okay for you to be a sole trustee. And but always advocating either, and you'll find that the banks will like you more when you come into the door with your co-trustee. So two trustees, or if at least having a successor trustee. The banks are not interested in being your trustee, so they want you to have in the paperwork a way for either a co-trustee or the successor trustee. Now, fortunately, we've had another incredible woman come aboard, Laurel White, and she's come over from the island of Maui and joining us here on Kauai. And she's picked up the essence of trusteeship almost immediately. Been around for 3 months now, and She's right there with everybody else. So if you don't have a friend that you trust, or you don't have anybody close, and you want to keep it more private, then Laurel can be a nominee trustee for you as well. So, and she knows the rule of fiduciary responsibility. In other words, if you're a trustee, and if either any of you are trustees, that you have a duty to the beneficiaries to be responsible and to keep everything that happens in the trust as being private. Hopefully we understand that. Now, when you go to BIC and you sign up for a trust, there's a form, and I just want you to remember that choosing the grantor is one thing, and that can be not the chicken outside, but a friend, or Dominique is, as we said, can be the nominee grantor. And chicken aside, we have Laurel to be successor trustee or co-trustee with you. She's already signed a number of documents and is well on her way to having very good experience with carrying the tune of a co-trustee or a successor trustee and putting up with the chickens that are outside the window. Okay, we have another slide, please. Okay, so we said, here we go, a client can be grantor or sole trustee, or you can be the grantor and the sole trustee, but you cannot be a beneficiary. So just remember that. You can be your own grantor, although having a nominee grantor benefits you because they have more separation within the trust itself. Then you can be a sole trustee if you choose. More on my liking is for you to have a co-trustee and at least have a successor trustee. You'll find that the banks want to have two people there. Like I said, they don't want to be the trustee on your trust. So we have nominee grantor, we have nominee trustee or co-trustee, and you can be the beneficiary if you choose, and let somebody else be the trustees, and you're all set to go. So next slide, please. Okay, I think we've talked about this. You can be the executive trustee with non-related co-trustee. If you choose somebody that's related to you, they have to not be a family member. In other words, a not non-related co-trustee. If you want to be an executive trustee, usually you choose your own grantor, and as I talked about, Dominique can play that role as well. So remember, we want to separate you and the assets. That's the most important part. So once you do that, then the trust is in order, and you're going to have the trust play the role of executing your estate or your assets. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, as we talked about, if you're going to be the sole trustee, then your children can be the beneficiaries, but you cannot be a beneficiary yourself. So just remember that this whole trust program is designed for the separation of your assets so that your family or estate can enjoy those assets without them being owned by you and being at your possibility of suit. If anybody comes along the way, if there's an accident or sickness, then you don't have to worry about your assets being taken care of. And the trust also eliminates any kind of probate. It can have insurance, it can own a house or whatever you want to have in it. And if you have enough, if you have your money or your banking within the trust, then the trust itself can buy whatever asset that you decide to do. Okay, so we've covered those three important things: the grantor, nominee grantor, the sole trustee, a co-trustee, and a nominee co-trustee and or successor, nominee successor trustee. All right, next slide, please. So here we go. Clients can have the three choices. Can be the grantor and the trustee, but not a beneficiary. Okay, better still is to have two non-related trustees, or at least have one non-related trustee with yourself being executive trustee. Or you can be the sole beneficiary if you're not one of the trustees. In the early days, when we had a client base in California, clients would come to us and we would create the trust document. We would be the trustees, and the client would come and he would be the sole beneficiary, or him and his children or wife and children would be the beneficiaries. So that's the separation of the assets that we're looking for. And I think you all understand that. Now, most of you have heard this before, but I want to make sure that you understand. Okay, next slide. Okay, I think we discussed this. You can be a grantor with one related trustee. You might have your wife be one of the trustees, and then a non-related friend be the co-trustee. And then you can be the sole beneficiary. Or you can have, if your wife is one trustee and you have a co-trustee, non-related co-trustee, then you and your children can be the beneficiaries. Or you can have multiple beneficiaries. It doesn't have to be your family. A lot of people choose to give a portion of their asset base to humanitarian projects, the purposes, or anything that you like to support in a humanitarian way. Okay, next slide. I think we've gone through this over and over again, but again, I keep getting client forms where people don't separate out the grantor and the executive trustee or the co-trustee or successor trustee. So again, you can come to the BIC and have your questions either forwarded to me, or BIC office will answer the questions. Or I believe that the BIC also on their webpage has a question and answer process. And also you can go back, and all of the videos that we've done are able to be downloaded and listened to or watched again. Okay, another slide. There we go. So BIC offers nominee grantor service and now also co-trustee service. That means that you can be outside by the swimming pool with your coffee and orange juice, especially on Hawaii. It looks like plumeria and fresh orange juice and Kauai coffee. So there we go. How about, do we have another slide? Questions?
Okay,
All right.
everyone, questions. If you are calling in by phone, dial *9, or if you're on the visual device, click on the raise hand. And Randall, we had one at the beginning, which was, is it better to have yourself as a beneficiary if the trust is for humanity's purposes? And I kind of gave a little comment before we started, but then that's fine for you to say something about it too, of course.
If you're mostly going to do humanitarian purposes, then I would say that it would be appropriate for you to be the executive trustee. And that way, with a co-trustee or a successor trustee, if it's all going to humanitarian projects, then you can direct those funds to the projects you like. And could be one humanitarian project, or it can be many. So it's up to you. And you can always write to BIC and get answers.
And I was
know
saying that
Laurel is listening in, and if she has anything to add, she can, she's welcome to come in and offer suggestions.
absolutely, Laurel, anytime. So in addition to what you said, I was adding that she could be executive trustee and beneficiary if she has other beneficiaries, yes?
As long as she has a co-trustee that's unrelated.
Yes.
But no, she can't, the person cannot be a trustee and a beneficiary. So that's the thing that usually I run up against when I get the form from the client, is they want to be the trustee and the beneficiary. And
Okay. Oh,
what
yeah,
happens
that was
is,
the change. You've been changing kind of lately, moving more in the direction of separating those two. I remember
one
now.
is, yes, very much
Yes.
so.
And
It's
finding other
important that-
ways for the trustee to be compensated. Yes.
Well, the trustee can be compensated with a trustee fee. In the early days, it was a friend or the church that was the trustee. And as we see, the churches did very well when all the gentlemen went off to war, and all of the beneficiary was the church. So we're trying to avoid that, and we want you and your family to benefit from setting up this trust and having the appropriate separation of assets and the working of the funds of the trust.
Okay, area
Okay.
code 323, you have your hand up. Would you like to say hi to us?
Yes, I'm now unmuted. This is Gerald, LA.
Hi, Gerald.
I was wondering about the private placement programs, the trade programs. Are they going to stay or are they going to go away? I asked it for a very good reason.
Well, I don't know about that. It's more of a question for Johnson to answer, but I knew though that any private placement process that you do can be a part of the assets of the trust that you set up with us. So it can be an asset that's inside the natural law trust, so that when they do
Yes,
when they pay out, then
yeah,
they
yeah.
go right to your trust.
I totally understand that, my friends. I'm a novice. I'm an older guy, a blind guy, but I'm a novice and learning very nicely. And I'm involved in a private placement program, a little slow on payout. That's another story. Waiting for the funds in which to place into a trust. And at the same token, one of our contacts is Leo Wanta. I don't know if you know of him or not. And he is waiting for his monies to be released. I've even dealt, by the way, Bill Smith, the son of the Attorney General under Reagan, was living in Hawaii the last time I spoke with him, familiar with the Wanta situation. And we're trying at the moment to have Wanta break loose some of his gold holdings. He got many, many metric tons. And something we'll be talking to Thompson about sooner or later, or you guys sooner or later, probably. But I'm just curious whether it's going to continue or not. And on a go-forward basis, on a good humanitarian basis, and let's just go do it.
Well,
and I pass the talking stick. That was my question.
The simple answer, Gerald, first of all, this is the trust topic today, so we'll have to keep on topic for the trust, but briefly, yes.
I will, I will do so. I honor that. I pass the talking stick. Thank you.
feel free to
Yes, and I
contact
would-
me personally outside the context of this meeting today. You can go through our customer service and you'll be in touch with me by email or phone, and we can talk to your heart's content about it. But yes, the programs will continue, and they will change.
we have many things to talk about. I will do so.
Okay.
Thanks again. Sorry.
Okay.
Oh, no
Yes.
problem. And I would suggest hooking up um, with our nominee grantor, Dominique, because she specializes in Braille and she might help you wade through some of the topics that we talk about in Braille if you've learned how to read Braille.
Yes.
She's quite the teacher in that aspect.
Yes. Yes, Gerald. So definitely connect with Dominique for any communication assistance. She teaches Braille and assists the blind. So excellent. And Laurel, would you like to say hi to us?
Oh, I see your hand. Say something.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yay. Can you see me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. I can't see me.
And we can see your thumb too. Aloha.
Except we can't hear you.
What happened to your audio?
Not yet.
There.
All
There we
right.
go.
There we
we
are.
go.
Hi, everybody. I just beamed in from another planet.
Laurel, let me introduce you. Laurel is working with Randall now and is in Kauai. So I am so happy, Laurel, that you have joined us and that you're assisting. You're going to be offering trustee services as well as helping Randall in administrative management of the clientele and just all around support. So that's just fantastic. And you have a background with the Anastasia material, and I think people would be fascinated to hear about that as well.
Yes, we've been studying with a new nonprofit foundation that we created for all the readers of these books that are rocking the world for a more sovereign and free way of life. With the founders and/or top people in the nation that we found who are helping us with all the other aspects other than the creation of trust, which would be getting your land patents and all the associated things to basically pull out of the system, becoming a natural law human, et cetera, et cetera. So that's my whole reason for breathing right now at my age as an elder. And I'm especially working with the kids and kind of a pseudo entrepreneur, helping them start their own businesses. So there will be a whole lot more along these lines and helping them understand how to protect their own assets from an early age.
Thank you, Laurel.
Why don't you just stay on, Laurel, and we'll go ahead and continue with the questions, and you and Randall can pipe up whenever you have something to contribute. Randall, we have Mata asking, when managing the trust, will both trustees need to sign any checks or documents in the course of ordinary business? Would certainly work better if only one signature is needed. For simplicity of doing business, might it be better to have only one trustee?
You can have two trustees. You're gonna actually need a co-trustee or a successor trustee. But in the document itself, it has a section that says that there's only need for one signature on the checking account or whatever accounts that you have the trust involved with. In other words, you might have money management programs, you might have private placement programs, and you can set it up so that only one trustee needs to be a signator. That way the trust book or the checkbook and the debit card or credit card can stay in hands of one trustee.
Thank you. Yep, simple answer. Ocean is asking, can you be a nominee grantor and the protector trustee? There might be a little confusion there.
Well, the protector is separate from the trustee, and the protector cannot be related to the trustee or the beneficiary, but is there as a service to the grantor, if so, or actually sometimes to one of the trustees if he's not real secure. The client can have a protector, and their sole job is to look into the administration of the trust and to either offer suggestions on how to correct it or to replace a trustee that's not able to carry the baton, so to speak.
Can a grantor be also the protector?
No.
I think that was basically
The
his
protector
question.
needs to be outside of the trust workings, the natural law
Okay.
trust.
Ocean, is that clear? Hopefully it is. All right. CE is asking, what is the fee for nominee grantor and co-trustee?
I'm not sure. You'd have to connect with each one. I don't advertise that. And if you write to Dominique, she'll ask her support, and the same with Laurel.
All right. And he's also asking, can you just say humanitarian projects as the beneficiary, or do you need to name the specific?
No, you can just state humanitarian projects. If that's what your choice is, that's not a problem.
As the beneficiary?
That's correct. You can just say humanitarian projects, and then when you fund those projects and pay the funds out of the trust, then that would show up on your checking account, and it would be a traceable process within the trust administration.
All right. Ocean is asking, what is the minimum amount to enter into a private placement program? And again, that's not the topic for today's meeting, but I'll just say it's 1 million euros. Okay, Goddess, we have your hand up and you'd like to say hi to us?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
How you doing? I put one of the questions into the comments, so I'll just read it so you won't have to repeat yourself. So I asked, do you have to have a checkbook with your trust, or you can just solely have a debit card? That's one of my answers. Or you have to have both.
No, it depends on the bank that you're working with and how the bank sets it up and how you set it up. It might be that your bank will just give you the debit card, but I believe that most accounts come with a checking account and the debit card. So you have access to your accounts in two ways.
Okay, and so my next question is, I know you said that you can put anything in your trust. I already have a trust established, and I did put my children in my trust, which means I am the first property holder, correct, of my children. However, once they turn of age, how does that affect everything?
Well, they would separate out from the trust. I don't understand why you would put your children into the trust, but if you want if it's because you're concerned that if something happens to you, you want the trustees to take care of your children, then that can be stipulated in the document, in the minutes of the document. And if something happens to you in that time, at the age of 21, of course, they're on their own to go whatever direction they would like to go to.
Even if they're still in an irrevocable trust and they're listed as property?
I wouldn't understand how that would happen. I don't know how you would continue to have rights over an adult person when they're 21. I think whether it's in a trust or not, that would, once you're 21, you have the ability to be on your own.
Okay, and then my last question is, suppose I wanted to file taxes for the trust. What is your recommendation for doing taxes for the trust?
Well, you'd be filing a 1041 if you do that, and you would do it as if you're doing a 1040 private tax return yourself. You would write all your expenses off, and if there's a tax due on any income that's been made, then you would have to pay that. But there are ways for the trust to, shuffle that off, either give it to the beneficiaries, give it to your humanitarian projects, and then of course there wouldn't be anything left over for tax base.
So, okay, so I was told, and just based on some of the research that I was doing, that filing the 1040 is for debtors, and just doing like a 1099 OID, and I can't remember the other form, those are for creditors. So my question would be, why would I file a 1040? I don't want to, I don't
That's the
want
same question. And I think that the answer to that could be found on the BIC website. There are ways to deal with that effectively. Is that
Okay.
correct, Townsend? Isn't that correct? That there's a situation on the BIC website that gives information on how to do that?
Yeah, it's all in the ebook. And Goddess, my question to you is, why would you want to file if you're not required to?
That's a good question.
I
But
think we
that's
lost
not the
it.
topic for today, so let's get back to possible other questions.
Okay. Laurel, we had some comments in the chat for you. One of them says, wow, Laurel, that sounds magnificent. And someone else said land patents. And then someone else said, how could we contact Laurel if we want to learn more about the Anastasia Foundation, land patents, and natural law, human, not subject to the maritime law system?
No,
Automatic muting going on. Right. Still
All
can't
right.
hear me?
We can
Yes.
hear you.
Oh, great. Okay. I saw that question and I saw the chat, and I put my email in the general chat for everyone to see and to grab.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And then anyone who emails me, also, the requirement is to join Telegram if you are already not a Telegram member. And if you send me your Telegram information, which is your name and phone number, basically, where I can find you on Telegram, I can just automatically add you to our chat regarding the Anastasia Foundation and everything that we're all learning about getting free and sovereign.
Okay.
Thank you.
So Randall, you had wanted to review and elaborate on this topic of the 3 hats this month. What else have you been noticing that people are confused about a lot?
It's mostly that, but I get questions specifically for issues like what section can I find this? I think I got a question the other day about, well, what if we have a wayward son and the son tries to get into the trust, and we have a section within the trust that the trustees can pull away any benefit that that young person might have, and then he would not have any access to the trust or the trust asset. So questions like that, what can it cover? Just about anything. What can it buy? Just about anything. So the trust can do anything a natural person can do. And it's just a matter of fine tuning and getting the fact that you do not own the trust. You can control it. You can be a trustee or co-trustee, But the trust would own all the assets. The trustee has lawful and legal ownership of any asset within the trust. You have to remember that as a trustee, you can't, it doesn't belong in your pocket. You can have the trust do anything that you would want to do as long as it's legal, and there you go.
All right, very good.
I do have people who have picked out my email, sending me odds and ends questions. If I can answer, if they're a client of BIC, then I generally answer the question. If you're not a client, then I would usually direct you to the BIC office so that you can become a part of our community.
All right, Goddess, you're back. You got disconnected from us. You would like to complete what you had?
Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so I didn't hear the last thing you said because I was disconnected. You said something about the ebook and then I lost connection. I was kicked out.
Oh, Randall was saying that on the BIC website, that would include what's printed on the main part of the website, as well as what's in the ebook, which is downloadable from the website. All of that information about those types of law under which the trust operates, and some about the tax situation. And then there's a section of court cases on the website, talks about how it's voluntary, it's optional whether you file or don't file for the trust. So all of that is there. He was just saying that you could read through that. It may be more clear for you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes,
Welcome.
yes.
Anybody else?
We have a very knowledgeable crowd today who don't have many
We do, in fact.
questions.
I think a lot of you have seen your name before, so welcome back and thanks for showing up.
Okay, well, everyone, we will move on and move towards completion for today, if you like.
Well, I think we've covered a number of topics to clear up any confusion, and so hope that's helped everybody today. And again, if you have questions and you're a client, please address them to me. And if you're not a client, then join our community and join up and get yourself a natural law trust. Write to Laurel if you want to be part of the Anastasia project, and we'll all just make changes in the way that the society functions.
We have a question from a Variable. She says, still confused about how involving an LLC in the trust is beneficial. Can you please elaborate?
Yes, you can have a corporation or an LLC be like a storefront. In other words, the trust could be the owner of that LLC or corporation. It can be a part owner or whatever. So I have clients that have an LLC and the trust owns maybe a majority, maybe less, but the trust just absorbs it as part of its administrative duties. Very easy to do. It's just an accounting. It's an accounting factor, and you would have, every time you send a check or have a debit or a credit card issue, then it would show up on that statement that you get from your bank every month.
All right. And Laurel, if I may return to you for a moment, for the benefit of everyone listening today, there's a set of books from Russia called Anastasia, and they have subtitles that books 1 through 10, I think it is, vary. And it really is a true story of an enlightened master living in Siberia who has supernormal powers and who is teaching a philosophy of freedom and of a new world from ancient wisdoms. And a whole new education system has been developing out of it, and a teaching that everyone should have their own land. And then you have had the wisdom to combine that with putting the land in land trusts, a natural law trust. So I thought you might benefit the audience today by, just explaining that. And it's exciting, I think, to be bringing that community together with ours.
Well, I didn't plan on it, but it's absolutely exciting and exactly what if I had checked in with my higher self or something. Yes, this is what I want. And it is actually the part that is not, there isn't really an entity we can go to that really understands trust and trust law like you guys in our Anastasia Foundation. So fancy that, here we are. So it's like the spokes of a wheel. And the books are called Ringing Cedars, by the way, not Anastasia. Anastasia is just the name of the first book of 10. And basically these books explain everything that every question I've ever had, they answer it, and explains the whole universe, where we all started, how it's very much based on a part of history that did not get very much written down or talked about, which was the Vedic side of things, Vedic history, especially in Russia. So what's so exciting is that these books came out 15, 17 years ago in Russia and Moscow, and thousands of people quit their jobs and after reading them, saying and reminding themselves, what were we thinking coming to the city and working 9 to 5 for someone else? Those people are about 50,000 strong now, living sovereign and free off the land sustainably in Russia, in numerous kins domains and settlements. And that's what I've been studying for the last 15 years since I got the books, to recreate here in America. I thought it was going to be Maui, where I've been for the last 20 years, but no, it's going to be starting here on Kauai. The only issue is that Hawaii is quite fearful when it comes to government and politics, and they tend to drag their heels and or just make up rulings and laws to slow the process or just to not allow people to go free. I've been watching that for a while too. So we are actually, I'm getting together with someone who's been here for a long time, who's dealt with land issues, and it might be, we might have found a way to go to the Planning Commission and do it differently. So we're creating a model for the universe. I mean, for the nation, for starters, right here on Kauai, as to how we're going to do that. We have, from the Anastasia Foundation, people who have shown up and created a food buying club, which we are hoping that will end up all over America. We're taking back the control of our food in this manner. It's not, so it's all in the Anastasia Foundation site. There's tons of files and media that you can download and access and read to your heart's content, which would probably take you years to read everything that's there now. And we have the brilliant 20-something-year-old, my favorite age group these days, anyone younger than me really, created the foundation and has pulled in the top people who are the masters of, say, Ron Gibson, who understands land patents really well. So if you're on the mainland in America, we are getting more and more people who already have land and really want to go down that road, but it's time consuming and it's very specific and you have to be really on it with paperwork. So what we're finding is people really need to find someone to assist them to do that and to stay on top of the paperwork, because it really comes down, like Randall said, accounting, paperwork. You have to cross your T's and dot your I's. If you really want to get out of the system, there is a way to do it. There's a protocol, but if you miss one little blip, they'll come and make your life hell, but they still don't have any rights. So that's what we're finding with people who are doing this. So I will be happy to, because I gave my email out through the chat, to direct people to all of our masters that are helping us in this manner.
Thank you. Wow. Yeah. Mahalo. Beautiful.
You're welcome.
one of our trust clients, first name Oscar, has been studying with a teacher. I believe that is the same one, Ron Gibson. I'll have to check with him. Excellent. Okay. And does that change in any way how the natural law trust would operate as a land trust?
No,
Well,
as far
land
as
trust,
I'm concerned,
it's different, two different scenarios. Land trust, land patent. They're not exactly the same.
Right.
So
Right.
land trust is different and it's easier to create a land trust and you're still in the system from what I understand. The land patent absolutely creates it and very autonomously yours. So
it's taken off the county tax roll. My understanding when we were doing the research in the 80s in California, we had a couple of people that were very successful in that endeavor, and it's basically you owning the land again. And like Laurel said, you have to do it correctly, but it can be done. And the government, of course, hates that, but it can be done. If you have the determination and the vision, it's yours.
Well, one success case I can tell you about from firsthand knowledge is James Gilliland. He heads the ESETI Ranch in southern Washington State. And he was using Winston Trout's knowledge and got his land patent and got his land free. And it was challenged, but they prevailed. And it's still there to this day. So that's one success case.
Right. I think Winston had numerous effect on a number of people. So I haven't heard his name recently, but hopefully he's still around. And
That's because his opponents shut him up. They
of course,
they
didn't know
basically
that.
said, "You be quiet or else," you know.
Yeah,
So
they do have all the guns.
yeah, yeah. So Randall, thank you. Laurel, thank you. To be continued. You know, as we proceed with this, there's a lot unfolding, a lot happening, a lot developing. You guys are getting started in a new office, and I see Gavin is writing. Rob Gibson has a book. Land patent confirms allodial title. Okay,
Great.
so we've opened a new chapter here.
Yeah.
He
Good.
also offers practically every weekend a seminar online, so you can go and learn from him directly every weekend, no matter where you are.
Well,
Just look up, it's called the American Meeting Group, where you can get all the information on Ron Gibson, americanmeetinggroup.com.
I think they should all get natural law trusts. So
Absolutely, that's what we're working towards.
Any of you who are affiliates, turn them on to it, because it seems to me the perfect marriage to have your allodial title and your land in the trust.
That's what we're working towards.
Yep.
Thanks, Gavin.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. So unless you have anything else for the moment, we'll go ahead and conclude. January 18th be our next, but in the meantime, you know, Laurel has given her email address, and everyone, you have mine and Randall's, or at least Peter's at the customer relations. So thank you, Laurel and Randall. Mahalo.
Thank you for all our guests.
And everyone who joined us. Have a beautiful, beautiful holiday season, wherever you may be.
Create a beautiful rest of the year. Aloha.
Aloha.